Welcome to Farming Simulator 25, where I've spent 100 days transforming this once thriving homestead into a modern bustling farm. But there is more to this story that meets the eye. As I work the land, I will uncover Grandpa's legacy and his dark secret that's been buried here for years, from barren fields to bustling farmsteads and from mystery to legacy. Will I turn Grandpa's farm into the success he dreamed of? Let's find out together in 100 days on Grandpa's farm. Day 1. I hopped from the train and arrived in Riverbed Springs. I immediately went to the local cafe where a random person recognized me as Walter's grandson. I didn't think too much about it and went inside. Unfortunately, I forgot I had any cash on me, so I stepped outside and followed the strange man. Why are you so slow, dude? After following the guy for a while, I arrived at the farm and met with Grandpa. He sure was happy to see some young faces around. I poked my nose around to see what was left from the farm. I remember and I was petrified. The farm I used to know was no more. After my brief look around, Grandpa Walter told me to go and meet his best friend Ben. After almost 2 hours, he explained how to run a combine and a tractor and what to focus on the upcoming months. I didn't want to waste any time, so I hopped into the combine and got to work. Once the combine was full, I jumped to the old John Deere and emptied our first load. When I finished cutting the field, I was so happy about the progress that I ran to Grandpa to tell him how my first run went. But before he could say anything, I grabbed the load and drove it off to make a quick buck. On my way, I stumbled upon Katie, the local animal dealer. She seems nice, and we chatted for a while before I continued my journey to Cashland, aka the grain mill. I made $4,158 and I couldn't believe it. Little that I know, this was a mistake. You see, in Farming Simulator 25, as in real life, you're not supposed to sell the crop right away. You should store it in silos and wait when the price is right, usually during the winter months. With the potential loss of thousands of dollars, I told Grandpa of my mistake and went to sleep for a bit. When I woke up, I finished with the wheat harvest, sowed what was left and moved to the canola field. While I was going to grab the trailer, I noticed Grandpa had some booze. Geez, you guys look hungry. I decided to listen this time and dump the canola in the silo for later use. The John Deere was parked as well as the combine. I went to ask Grandpa about the bulls and what to do with them, but he didn't have a clue, so I jumped onto his old pickup truck and went to see Katie. She explained to me that the bulls are hard to look after if you can't provide them with high protein food, which I can't do at the moment. So we both agreed it's for the best I sell the animals. I told Grandpa and I went to sleep. Day 2. For day 2, I woke up early in the morning to discover Katie has already removed the bulls from the pen and the money was wired. Not having to think about them, I focused at the task in hand, which was preparing the fields for sowing. It's September and this period is perfect for seeding wheat, barley, canola and oats. Grandpa's friend Ben had a job for me. He liked what I did with our field so much he wants to hire my services. At this point I just couldn't say no. With our tractor full on fuel, I went and worked his field. I went back home, finished the rest of the fields, checked on the bees and a scarecrow, then headed to his house to tell him of my progress. Well, that was nice of him, we even got us some bonus. As I was just about to check on Grandpa, hell unfolded. 2 crooks were holding Grandpa hostage. I immediately did what I was born to do. Run! But fate had other plans. In a moment of panic, I ran in one big circle straight back to the bandits. This time I couldn't escape. One of the guerrillas explained to me that Grandpa owes them money. Big time. The men took $5,000 and told me they will do it every day until Grandpa's debt has been paid off. My old man was embarrassed, but he couldn't do anything. To clear my head of what just happened and to think of a plan, I decided to focus on the barley planting. I was so stressed about Grandpa that the first few rows I seeded as wheat. With the proper seeds selected and one quick trip to the shop for seeds, I planted the barley and went back to the house. Day 3. The next day the stress was overwhelming me. I had to think of a way to make money fast or Grandpa might be in danger. I went to see Katie, who she explained to me about contracting and how this thing can make us money fast. She even got us a small contract to fulfill. I quickly finished the job and went back to collect our cash. We made $1,551 just like that. We left Katie to her business and went on to search for Noah, the local wood chipper and sawmill manager. He was a strange fellow. I didn't trust him at first, but at least he gave me a job, cultivating again. He didn't want to trust me with his own equipment, so we had to use ours. With the final task done, I filled the tractor once again and went home. To my surprise, one of the gorillas was back, and he wasn't alone. They demanded to pay the $5,000 Grandpa owned, and I just couldn't say no. Day 4. With day 4 up on me, I was determined. I was going to find a quick way of making money, and with the cash I have, I bought a chainsaw and I started cutting the trees behind the fields. With a full bed of wood, I went to see Noah. Unfortunately, he explained that the wood we have is of no use in the sawmill and we have to drive it to the carpentry factory. We sold the wood there for 681 buckaroos, which equivalents right around 1/3 of a tree. I got so thrilled with the cash we were making that I left anything else planned and chopped trees the whole day. While I was returning from my last run, I decided to greet Katie as she was also preparing to go home. Little that I know, the mafia guys were watching my every step. I had to pay them another $5,000 once more. I asked Katie what were these men doing there, but she didn't say a thing. Day 5! It's December and I need to change my clothes for something more appropriate. The snow was so high I couldn't see the crops, which meant there was no farming work whatsoever. My best bet was with Noah. I found him sipping coffee and watching a movie inside the sawmill. The first job he gave us was cutting some dead trees. The dead trees were at the exact same spot we did our chainsaw rampage yesterday. With the marked trees gone, I explored the snowy roads of Riverbed Springs to the most exciting part of the day. Noah had left us his Volvo and a bunch of lumber, and I have to transport it down to the sawmill. I was pretty nervous as why he would entrust me with his expensive machine and how good it was in the snow. The loading took some time, but in the end we made the delivery. I went inside to get my pay, stopped to fill the pickup, and at this point I didn't even notice that this thing had over 500,000 kilometers. I should definitely change the oil soon. One quick stop to deliver the down payment. Day 6. And we're on day 6. There wasn't much to be done, also no jobs were posted, so I just spent the day relaxing. Day 7. At day 7, spring was starting to show its face. The snow was gone and we again was able to work on the crops. I noticed some weeds have sprung, so I jumped into action. Changed the tires of the John Deere, got a sprayer, and I flooded them weeds with the toxic chemicals like my life depended on it. Which it was, kinda. With the weeds gone like my money every day, I switched the herbicide for fertilizer and I did one more trip on top of the barley. The rest of the day I spent it logging. Day 8. On day 8 something awesome has happened. My reputation across the town was growing so much, farmers were actually letting me drive their own tractors. But I had one thing on my mind, how to save Grandpa from his debt. While I was mowing, hoeing and log transporting, I had the perfect idea. I decided I will build a new sheep farm on top of the old bulls enclosure. With the brand new building in place, I was missing one thing, the sheep. I headed back to Katie to order the animals and stopped by to pay the daily interest. Guns? Really? With a bell in the back and a perfect technique for unloading, we were all set. Day 9. On the next day I checked on the sheep and to my surprise they were actually getting busy as the first wool pallet had already started spawning. A few quick contracts later, including a rock field removal, it was already feeding time once again for the sheep. Man, I'm too good at this game. Day 10. Spring was almost over and my plan to save Grandpa wasn't going anywhere. I bought a front loader and I loaded one wool pallet and one pallet of honey to drop off at the local farmer's market. While I was browsing his site and thinking of a way to save my old man, I got a bright sign. literally. I sprung into action and told Walter of my plan. He again wasn't thrilled but agreed. The plan was to borrow money from the same man I'm trying to protect him from. I needed the money. If I wanted to make any progress, I just needed to take the money. I took the cold cash and bought one plot of land from Katie. Then I got a planter and started drilling the field for corn. The plan was to grow the corn until it was ready for silage. Until that time, I must find a way to pay back the goons.